Hello and welcome to the first I Do It For Foundation ride stream. And I was one of the first people to stream Zwift back when we were on Jarvis. I think that's when I did the first video. And I thought maybe someday I might make a name for myself doing those Zwift ride videos. But then better people came along, Shane Miller, those guys, and I realized that was not going to happen. But I do want to bring some attention to the foundation that I started called I Do It For. And right now I'm doing it for Larry McKeithen, who has a tumor, terminal tumor, and I'm raising money to help with his family. So as you're watching, think about Larry, and if I can breathe, I'll tell you a little bit about the foundation. But I want to jump in and do this Tour de Zwift Stage 1, and let's see if I can survive. I hope I do. I think I came in and I was 63rd person in. There are now 218 people, and we're off. So let's get rolling. And of course, as usual, Zwift rides start fast. And it's a ride, but invariably it's also a race. So, well, I can already see one problem with my stream. Getting the big ring. One problem with my stream is that my idoitfor.org Larry M URL is getting wiped out. Can't see it. So I always tell myself I'm just going to ride for fun, and then I get sucked in and I start thinking to myself, well, I wonder how far up I can get. We will see. This one is 40 kilometers, so I definitely won't be able to keep this up. Let's get in and draft. Also, I'm not on my normal bike. My normal Zwift bike, which is dedicated for that, my bottom bracket started making funky noises. So I switched to my road bike. Boy, if I'm going to talk, I'm going to have to ease up. Breathe. Yeah, my Zwift bike is a really nice frame. It's a giant TCR Advanced. Unfortunately, it has a crack in it, so I don't want to ride it on the road. So I moved it, took the brakes off, and made it a dedicated Zwifting bike. My road bike is a felt F1, which I really love. It's got that cool checkered carbon frame. Always good to see a few ride-ons. I get to where I recognize the names of the people who I follow and who follow me. So, yeah, B nickel. That's a regular. I always laugh because I'm doing 319 watts in the lead in. Why do we do this? I'll show you a little trick that I have. Hey Siri, turn on right crosswind.
Okay, the right crosswind is on.
I have multiple fans surrounding my bike, and I've named them left crosswind, right crosswind, tailwind, and headwind. So as I'm riding along, I can tell Siri to turn on whichever one I want. I normally start off with like one of them, and then as I get hotter, I up it. I don't have a fan that I can have a variable speed, so I just go ahead and add more than one fan to get more. If I want all the fans on at the same time, I just say turn on tornado. And then I get all the fans. Yay, the fans! So, what am I doing out here? I'm here basically trying to raise awareness for a ride that I'm doing on January 16th. I want to do a 12-hour trainer ride, and its purpose is to raise money for the McKeithen family. Larry is a colleague of mine, and he learned, well, just before Christmas, that he has a terminal brainstem tumor. We didn't know that when we started the iRide for Larry. We started out trying to raise money for him to get an adapted van, because over time he has started losing his mobility. Then, when we learned that it was terminal, we switched our focus to help cover some expenses that the family has. Now, you think, well, does he have insurance? Yes, but you'll learn quickly in these situations that there's always things that the insurance does not cover. Maybe they're not things for life, but they're things to make things better for his family. For instance, he was at the Mayo Clinic in Florida. If his family wanted to be with him, the insurance didn't cover that. The travel from Florida back to Greenville, South Carolina, where we're located, doesn't cover that. There are many things surrounding these illnesses that you don't really understand until you've been through it. And while insurance is a wonderful thing, you can still end up racking up bills. So that's one of the reasons why I started the I Do It For Foundation. I have done multiple fundraising events, and I'm all for organizations that are raising awareness of sicknesses or seeking to find a cure. And I always encourage people to participate in those kind of events. However, sometimes I wonder if my money could be more directly beneficial if it was going to someone that I knew, and it was going directly to help cover those expenses that that person is incurring. So I started focusing on that and raising money for individuals rather than causes. For instance, I have a little friend named Rebecca who had a congenital heart defect, and she was often traveling from here in Greenville to Charleston, about a 220 something mile trip, and the family was having to go with her and stay there in Charleston. She also had some medical needs, oxygen, things like that, equipment for her to make her life better. So I rode from Greenville to Charleston in one day. It still is the longest ride I've ever made in one day. From Greenville to Charleston, solo, with my wife following me, offering support. And I raised, I think, $14,000 for Rebecca. And then I've done some other events. One was actually for a scholarship in the name of Michael T. McCaskill. It was Michael who first was my inspiration to get involved in charity rides. He had a tumor back in 2007, and I did a ride for him, and that ride was on the national championship course that was held here in Greenville. It was my first 73-mile ride, and really it was probably only 2 years after I got involved in cycling. So his family wanted to start a scholarship in his honor, and so I rode from Memphis to Raleigh in 7 days. So that was basically a century every day for 7 days. And that, I think, was around $28,000. But I began understanding that as I got older, it would be harder for me to memorialize Michael, which, by the way, he actually passed away before I was able to do that ride. And as I continue to do rides in the future, I realized if I wanted to continue his legacy, I needed to expand beyond myself. And that was the genesis of the foundation, because my desire was to help people do what I was doing and helping individuals who had needs. And I've had a number of other people participate, though, to be honest, some of them weren't people doing an event or even involved in some type of sport. In some ways it was more like a GoFundMe. So instead of I ride for, it was I give for. But that's okay, because we were able to help other people who had needs. But what I really want from the foundation is not just fundraising. I want it to be an encourager. When you're writing for a cause, there are many people that you are writing for. But they may not know what you're doing. It's not really personal. What I desired was for things to be more personal, so that someone knows that you are out there training, and while you're training, you're thinking about them. And it's true. There have been many times when I was training for one of these rides, or even during the rides, I would think of the person I was riding for, especially when things got hard, because I realized how hard it was for them. So I guess in some ways you could say that I was sharing in their suffering, though I want to be careful saying that, because the joy that comes from riding a bike or running, doing something you love, is a different kind of suffering. But still, it can be hard. And so it's an encouragement, an inspiration to me as I'm doing my training, just thinking of the people that I'm doing it for. And so you can hear all the words popping up. I'm doing it for someone, and that's why we call it the I Do It For Foundation. So the person raising the funds and trying to be an encouragement, they are known as the doer. Then the person who you're trying to encourage and who is also helping you in your training is the inspiration. So Larry is my inspiration and I am the doer. Then there's a third component, and those are the people who aren't necessarily participating in the effort, physical effort, but they are giving, and they are giving words of encouragement. And those people in our system are known as the supporters. $300 watts. You may not know this, but I'm kind of up against it when I'm hitting that right now. I think my FTP at this point is probably around 275, which is down probably about 30 watts from my stronger days. By the way, do you like my jersey? I do it for foundation jersey, and I don't know if you can see it. Nope. But there are bibs that go along with it. This, whoa, I got dropped. Ah! Come on! Get back in the draft, or I'll be gone. There we go. Whew. The jersey and kit bibs were designed by Scotty Weiss, who you probably know if you know anything about Swift. Scotty used to live here in Greenville before he moved up to Virginia. So I've always enjoyed his designs with Starlight Apparel. So when I decided I wanted some jerseys to represent the foundation, I went to him. I think the first kit I had designed was with Hincapie. Hincapie Sportswear is located here in Greenville, and they have good stuff. A little more expensive than I could put out there for people who were wanting to buy them as part of the foundation, but still good stuff. Good people there. And then I had another design done by a group in Memphis, and I enjoyed those kits. They were more triathlete focused, and also not really a connection that I had a strong connection with. So when the opportunity came for me to move to Starlight and join up with Scotty and those guys, I jumped at it. So the last two designs have been with Starlight Apparel. Yes, you probably are hearing my bike making funny sounds. That's because I switched bikes, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes before this ride. So things are not exactly lined up. All right, where are we here? 25 kilometers out of 40 something. So not quite halfway, but we're getting there. Still in the group. About the same number that I started. I think I noticed one time I was up maybe in the 40s. But with all this talking, I can't really push on anything. It's very flat. It's London. Of course, this first stage is supposed to be flat. Hey, I wonder if I could move their URL here while we're going. Maybe a little bit more exposure. So let's move it up here. put it kind of lined up. Yeah, that looks a little better. So let's go with that. Yeah. You'll notice over there at the power up that I have it covered with the I Do It For logo. It's a person helping another person, lifting them up. Which, I guess I should say, what is the Ride for Larry? The Ride for Larry will be this 12-hour ride, trying to raise $2,500. I think today I was at $2,030. So I still have a little over a week to get the remainder. To be honest, my initial goal was 2,000, but once we hit that, earlier this week, I decided to go for another 500. Because while I'm doing that 12-hour ride on the trainer, I want some encouragement. And I'm hoping people will give me some encouragement by not just dropping ride-ons, but by also giving, and giving to the cause. That would be very encouraging. Hey, I'm in the 40s. Oh, back to the 50s. But that's not the important thing. The important thing is just hanging in here and telling you the story of I Do It For. So if you're just joining us now, you might want to go back and watch the beginning, because that's where I explain a lot about the beginnings of the I Do It For Foundation. My plan for January 16th, which is when I do the I Ride for Larry trainer ride, is I want to do 12 hours, but I'm hoping I can knock off a bunch of the badges while I'm doing it. If you're not familiar with Zwift, there are routes. So when you log in, you choose what route you want to ride. And if you complete these routes, you get badges that you can collect. And I've collected quite a few of them, but I have some really hard ones left. The hardest ones, because I put those off. So it may take me a while to do them, because I don't want to kill myself early on in the 12 hours. But if I have 12 hours, I might as well put it to use and go out there and knock off some of these badges. And I hope that that will be an encouragement to Larry, because that's what I do. When I knock off a badge here when I've been training, I'll send him one and let him know that I did it for him. So that day will be a big effort, getting those badges. I do plan to stream that event. That's actually why I'm doing this right now, is it's a test. I need to learn some things to change around, to do differently. So, my red light came on. I have a red light because in my office I have a sensor. It tells me when the carbon dioxide level is above or is abnormal. So you've probably noticed I've turned a lot redder. That's because the lights in my office turn red when that sets off. So typically I would get off the bike, go open the door so it would let some more air in, but if I did that I would get dropped. Don't want that to happen. I can survive. I don't think I'm going to asphyxiate. I'm a sucker for Apple HomeKit, so I use the Hue lights. I have a Netamo air quality sensor, and you've already heard me talking about controlling my fans with Siri, so got lots of stuff going on there. Man, am I red. I think the system will override, but I'm going to try this. Hey Siri, turn office lights to white. Okay, yeah, good. It's now turned white. So I shouldn't look quite as red as I did. Hey, we're over halfway. And I'm feeling pretty good. I can do 2:30 all day. When I did the ride from from Greenville to Charleston, I found my sweet spot was right around 200 watts. I was able to settle in, and as you're going down from Greenville to Charleston, you're going to the coast, so invariably you're going downhill most of the time, though it was some climbing, elevation involved, but overall it was downhill. So at 200 watts average, I was hitting right around 20 miles per hour, and so I was able to knock that out. Hey, Scotty just gave me a ride on. I wonder if he knew that I was talking about him. Probably not. Matter of fact, I'm certain he didn't know I was talking about him. Oh, look. Green screen towel. Whoa! The cloak of invisibility. Yeah. Guess I better change my color. Bring a yellow towel or something. Let's see, 34 minutes. See how long this will go. So it's probably going to be around an hour. A little less than an hour. Oh yeah. These group rides, my Sterzo steering doesn't work. They turned that off, or I will show you how it works. I started on Zwift back in the beta days. I got in line maybe a little late, so I waited longer than I wanted, but still was one of the first people on Zwift there on Jarvis Island. And as I mentioned before, was one of the first people through stream, those were good days because it wasn't crowded, which is a good thing now. I'm glad. But back then, the community was like everybody knew everybody. And you met people there, and you really did form friendships. And I remember Julian Washington, you go over the bridge in Watopia, it has a JM on the bridge. That stands for her. She was trying to get in shape, lose some weight, and everyone rallied around her to encourage her, and she became a personality. So Swift was a place where you could be a personality and not be a pro. And she helped to rally the community around her, and it was just fun. Then we just started informal racing, and I enjoyed that because, again, because there weren't a lot of people, I was able to hang with those races, and I did some video of some of those races, trying to explain to people about Zwift in the process. And I think there may have been some people who started Zwifting because of those videos. Problem is, if you're going to be good at that, you have to devote some time. So when I think of Shane Miller and Pritchard, those guys, and the time that they put into creating these channels that are Zwift related, I know that takes a lot of work. And so I give them ride-ons, or kudos if you're in Strava, for the work that they do. And they've just done a better job explaining all things Zwift and staying up to date. So it just didn't make sense for me to keep going because I just didn't have the time. So why am I here now? I'm here now because I want you to know about I Do It For, and I want you to know about I Do It For Larry. So the purpose is hopefully to raise awareness of that. Right now, I'm in the process of rethinking the I Do It For Foundation. I had mentioned earlier that I was somewhat concerned because a lot of people were coming and wanting to participate, doing fundraisers for people in need, but they were looking at it more as GoFundMe rather than I Do It For, because I hadn't mentioned this, but I Do It For does not charge for the process, and 100% of what is raised goes to the need. So there are no administrative fees. There's nothing there that is taken away from the money going to the people in need. Well, that means I have to find that money to cover those expenses. And if what's happening isn't really meeting the mission of the foundation, I hesitate to do that. If you want to just raise money, there are great platforms. GoFundMe is one of them. But I want people to be involved in supporting the person that they are raising money for. So what I'm looking for now is to move the I Do It For Foundation to an app. And this app, when you log into it, you would connect to Strava or whatever system I'm able to add. And it tracks your riding or running or swimming, whatever it might be. So when you start your I Do It For project, you set a goal for how much you want to do. And then you start training. And as you train, just like in Zwift, you earn badges that when you get that badge, it goes into your dashboard, but it also goes into the dashboard of the person that you're doing it for. And then, just like Zwift has ride-ons, the I Do It For Foundation app will have what I call lifts. So, as in you lift me up. So you can send lifts to your inspiration, the person you're doing it for. So the doer has their view of the app, and then the inspiration has their view of the app. So the doer's view of the app shows them their progress in the fundraising, in the effort they're doing, the badges they're earning. But then the inspiration has a view that sees the same information but being told to them in a different way, in a more encouraging way. So instead of getting an award for a 50% completion, they would receive a notice that their doer has completed 50%, and that's a special lift to them as an inspiration. And then other people who aren't participating can also come and send lifts. So when the doer goes out and does a run, when they're done, and that goes into Strava, it also will send a message through the I Do It For app to the inspiration, letting the inspiration know that the inspiration's doer has completed that event for them. So it's this way of communicating between the doer and the inspiration that is raising funds, but it's also encouraging the inspiration. And hopefully, it's encouraging the doer as well. I guess my dream would be that someone who has a relative that is facing a medical hardship, perhaps like Larry, a tumor or cancer, that they would decide to start getting active. Maybe pick up riding a bicycle, or maybe running or swimming, and getting healthier themselves as they are trying to be an encouragement to the person that they have made as their inspiration. So the idea is to make the world a healthier world by helping the world help others. And that's the little slogan that I'm working off of, and really that's the mission. The mission is to use health to be an encouragement to people who are battling for their health and making people healthier in the process. So we'll see how it goes. Right now I'm designing the process and the visuals of the app. Then I'll have to take it to a developer, see how much it will cost, and then I'll have to start raising money to build the app. So, if you have any suggestions, if you have any money you'd like to put towards something like that, I'd love to talk to you. 10 kilometers to go. Still in the 50s. So that means there's a group up there. Let's see, let me get up to the front. I'll see how many people are left up ahead. Okay, 38, 37, 36 people ahead of me. 2 minutes back. Yeah, they can have it. I'm not going to chase those people down. I'll just hang out with these guys. One thing I wish Zwift would do, if I can make a suggestion. So Mr. Min, if you're watching this, I'd like to be able to give people ride-ons in this group like you can in non-event rides. It's just such a pain to try to look into the lifts and give ride-ons to people around you by just going through the list. It would be a lot better if I could just push the arrow button in the circle and give ride-ons to the people around me. I don't think it would cheapen those. So think about that. Suggestion from a long-time Zwifter. Hey, my wife gave me a heart. Thank you, Annette. That's encouraging. I'll see you in a few minutes. Well, I will say this. 2 things. Riding in this group lets me go a lot faster. So drafting, I can put out 40 some watts, 40 kilometers per hour at just around 200 watts. That makes the time go by quicker. Oh man, I forgot to start my watch workout. Oh well. I need to close all my rings today. So let me go ahead and start that up. There we go. So that's one thing, is you get done faster. The other thing I've noticed tonight is doing this YouTube video. It's made the time go by a lot faster. Rather than just sitting here thinking about the race or the ride, I'm talking to you. So it's making it go by much faster. No, I don't want to do a 5-mile sprint. I've been off the bike for about a week. So this is my first really hour-long ride of any effort. So I definitely don't want to go too hard. Well, if you've been watching, thank you for watching. Appreciate it. I figure other people will come and see some of this, as it will be archived on YouTube. And my hope, of course, is that people will learn about I Do It For. They'll go to idoitfor.org and it'll be worth it. You can see above my head the idoitfor.org/Larry M. It would be cool. No one yet has given toward the ride from Zwift. So no one who has seen that URL on Zwift has logged on and given. And how do I know that? Because I know most of the people who are giving, and if I don't know them, I've been able to learn who they were, and none of those people have been from the Zwift community. So who will be the first from Zwift to give to the I Ride for Mike? I'm not Ride for Mike. I Ride for Larry. I Ride for Mike. Frankly, all of my rides are for Mike. For Michael T. McCaskill. He was the original inspiration for I Do It For. And he's the reason why the foundation exists. And he's the reason why I keep at it and keep doing these rides, is in his honor. I committed to doing something in his memory back then in 2007 for as long as I could. And my desire is that I will continue to do things for Mike through the foundation. And then I hope when I'm gone, there will still be things happening in honor of Mike through the foundation. So to me, this is more than just processes and fundraising and organization. It's about the people I've met, people I've cared for over the years, Mike and his family, and I want to live up to that promise. Haven't always done it to the extent I had wished. Wow. I had a drop out, and now I've gotten dropped. Now I have to work to get back in. 4 kilometers to go. Okay, settle in. Whew. In case you're wondering, 154 is not too bad for me. 160 I can hold for a while. 170 to 174, I'm getting ready to blow. I can still hit 180 beats per minute, but at that point, that is my max, and I'm getting ready to puke. That's what happens when you turn 52. Those high heart rates disappear. .7 kilometers. Keep it going. I have pretty decent 2-minute efforts. I'm not a sprinter. I mean, I'm not too bad, but about 1200 watts max. Nowadays, I can remember 1400, 1600 watts back in my early 40s. Now 1100, 1200 would be my max wattage. So if I can stay with the group, I can finish well, but I'm most likely not going to win anything. If there's any climbing, I'm done for. I can climb those short things like the KOM on Watopia. I can do pretty well, but once I get to the top, I am done for if I'm going to get a good time. And then it's all about recovering. So in a race, I can stay with people to the top, but then I just can't keep going and stay with them once we get over with the stronger guys. And I think that I like to win. And just getting in and being field fodder isn't always that fun. Though I'm learning to start setting personal goals. So maybe I might not win, but I can finish higher than I thought. Or I can hold wattage better than I did before. Those things. Under 2 kilometers. 3% grade. Now we should level out. That one guy's going off there. Try to stay with these guys. Finish in the top 40s. I'm really good. Might finish in the top 40. We will see. 0.2, 0.1. So, I hope if you're a Zwifter, you'll consider giving to idoitfor.org. Larry M. Be the first Zwifter to give. All right, 5311. Get in the group. .7. Too close up. Get back in. There's the finishing straight. Whew. Done. Under an hour. Woohoo. That was fun. I think I'll stay here, cool down, say goodbye to you all. Thanks for joining me. Come back on January 16th. Drop me some ride-ons. Give me some encouragement as I do my ride for Larry. Thank you very much. So I'll bid you adieu from London.